gbé náà yẹn kò mẹ́rin tó ṣiṣẹ́ ni.
Assalamu alaikum. Please, can we occupy the first seat first and give the back seat for the package? Please, let's go. For so I'm aware that the link for this is not available. Please just check the platform and send the link to like-minded people you know and encourage them to like and share. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا مبعوث رحمة للعالمين. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen again. If we are to assess or audit the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on us for making us Muslims, it's a life that is well guided, well nurtured, and well presented. There is nothing else that can be blessings of Allah outside the fact that we have been made Muslims. Whether we are born Muslims or we converted to Islam and become Muslims, it's the Lord's grace that we should enjoy till eternity. Alhamdulillah ala ni'matil Islam. If you wake up today and there is nothing to eat, there is nothing to feed on, you are sleeping, you are homeless, you are walking naked, you don't even know when your next meal will come. And you remember that this morning you have woken up, you have said your Rak'atayn Fajr, and you have prayed some. You should continue to thank Allah and enjoy separate. Because for the Rak'atayn Fajr alone is more than the entire world and what is inside. So said Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you are richer than the richest man in the world today. For having the grace of observing Rak'atayn Fajr, not 2 rak'at after Adhan. Now, we are now guided to the point that we have a system that is working, that has been working for thousands of years, well nurtured, well architectured, and well structured, which is the system of Islam and the law. See, I must tell this topic, although very elaborate. I was sent a letter when my brother was calling me, doctor was calling me. Sincerely, I thought I was not going to get another thing. Because my plan was to attend the program on Wednesday till yesterday. When I attended briefly, and his pressure was so much for me that I said it to the unfair of my part to say I am not going to consider the center of education. At the point I said, it's like it began for another person. But when I now finally said on Monday, or was it Monday or Tuesday? I think it was Monday or Tuesday. And I finally said, let me see my ability to come. Send me the topic again. And when I saw the topic and the kind of synopsis attached to the topic, I wanted to say, this is quite good for another person. Because this was well crafted by somebody I know is better for the person to sit down here and present and be listening to me than me coming to discuss. But when I've been called to come and contribute my own input. I said, let me see how I can go to Tuesday at 2. I'm so spread I say alhamdulillah again for everybody who Allah has been using since the establishment of TFT and since the establishment organization of this program. And I learned this is the 32nd of it. May Allah not allow you to know the extent of what you have done. May Allah continue to reward those who are still alive for TFT, may Allah continue to reward them. Those that have gone, may Allah reward them with their benefits. And allow us also to have good health in charge. Alhamdulillah, their contributions will not be in vain. Yes, the topic of today. I managed to prepare something like synopsis. Because despite managing myself, I ended up writing 26 pages. I managed to write 26 pages. In my mind, I was not even thinking that I've done justice to it. Consultations here, check this here, copy this one here, look like this one. I said, when it has to do with Islamic law, you have to strive for the entire life. Even if Islamic law is not going to be established in your lifetime. Rasulullah says, as a Muslim, you must not die without having to decide that Islam should rule the world. You must not die. Even if it's not going to be established in your lifetime, you must have that desire. What desire in you? That Islamic law will rule the world. When you are not asked to come and present something on it, you don't know what you do last. You have to strive and say, let me see if I can. I will go quickly to the introduction. Because I know I have less than 1 hour to discuss. How am I going to discuss this in less than 1 hour is what I know. May Allah assist us. The major thing we know as Muslims is that Islamic law is ordained. It's divine revelation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the creator and the cherisher of the world. There is nobody who can prepare a program or who can prepare a book of guidance for a particular concept except the creator of that concept. There is no way in this world that somebody who is not a mechanical engineer, even if he's a mechanical engineer, if he's not the one that manufactured Poto, he cannot prepare Poto for Poto. The best you can do, if you have Poto before you are a mechanical engineer with extreme expertise, is to look for Poto, what do you call it? This is what they do online. Go to their portal, you click in the make of that product and look for guidance on that product. You can't use your experience of 404 for the Kumeri that our father used to do this 404. You say you are going to use that experience because you are an expert in code to manage and to repair code 408. You cannot. But that's one of the who has created the world created human beings, knows us fully, created other creatures that are living with us, who will be giving will on the surface of the heart, has given us the proper guidance of how we are going to live here. And that guideline is Sharia. That is the only thing. If your life is not being lived according to that Sharia, I'm sorry for you. Which means all of us, we are living in a sorry state. As a Muslim living outside the dictate of Sharia is stagnated. It's already stagnated. Because nothing is left out of his life that is not covered by Sharia. So I supposed to follow protocol by greeting our chairman and every other person on the IT. Please kindly permit me for that. I can consider as being our father for so many years. Share the same and consider it a very good friend. Now we are really practice together. Last time I thought that we were going to work for the year of 2023 or so. Improvement, even though I will not make improvement, because it's my voting area, I have to go back there and vote. Now, I can't do that. Sorry for not creating our God. Now, as Muslims, our life is under the dictate of the provisions that Allah has given us. I will be able to read through what I've prepared there. I think it's going to be taught now. Islamic law is a Muslim is physically and mentally stagnated when its means of survival and governance is challenged. Our means of survival and governance is challenged. It's like when your nursery is blocked and you are struggling to open your mouth to get something, and somebody use another dirty clothes to block your mouth. You know you are going. That is the condition of Muslims when we are not allowed to practice our religion. This paper is set out to address the kind of respect we have for Sharia. Does that concept on its own deserve that kind of respect we are giving? I would say yes. The fact that it's a divine way of life is number one. Number two, you may be accorded some honor and some respect that you don't deserve. We are going to look through the meaning of Sharia and see whether it deserves all those respects we are giving it. Yes, concept of Islamic law. Now, the concept of Islamic law, Sharia derived its roots, as we all know, from the Arabic word Shara. And Shara in this context of Sharia means a path. And it's not just ordinarily a path. It's a path to where you can find water. In pure Arabic language, we know the condition of desert, the environment. Wherever there is need to provision, it's of great concern to everybody. And when you see a path leading you to where you are going to get water, that path is not a small path. It's a path that will be guided by people around the desert. Number one, they will have like people to go there and exhaust it. Number two, they will not like people to go there and put something that is dirty, that is not in there. For and that's why the Allah have used the word Sharia. In the context he has used it, knowing fully well the understanding and appreciation of Arabs of the language. It says Shara. So man, why else we have the Sharia already? Don't put another. Allah Sharia until we can have for Tania. What after Tania our the he said, I have created a path. I'm giving you a path. We are putting you on a path of command. Now the command now follows it. So follow that path. And do not follow the path of those who are ignorant, who know not. Allah is telling us here that wherever and whatever you may be thinking as a way of life for you is Quran. Whatever you may be thinking as a way of life, that will be what that will guide your life consistently. Allah is telling us that it is Quran. It is not the path to follow. He now commanded us here and said, follow my path. Which part is that? The part of Sharia. You can see this one in Surah Yasin, Quran 45, ayah 18. Now, let's move quickly to the technical. Juristic or technical sense, Sharia means the totality of divine legislation and principle revealed by Allah, our Creator, to guide human life. Ranges from command, prohibitions, values, and ethical standards derived primarily from the main sources of Islamic legislation, which is the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Now, that is the technical totality of divine legislation from the beginning to the end. Even when you leave the primary sources of Islamic law and you go to secondary sources, you are still going to see the reasons why those secondary sources are deriving their authority from the primary sources. Even though you are seeing it as decisions taken by jurists, by scholars, classic scholars, and contemporary scholars. If you are looking at it as decisions taken by them, you will discover that those decisions are not taken ordinarily by themselves. They are taken as a result of in-depth knowledge and analysis of the primary sources, which means ultimately they are still going back to the creator of heaven and earth as the person who has given us those commands. Now, Sharia is a complete way of life. Quickly, I've rushed into 2.06 because I can see they are taking even 30 minutes away from my preparation for my 15 minutes away from my meaning that I'm struggling to manage them. Yes. We are talking because these areas are areas we don't have knowledge. The major provision of Islam is to take care of the welfare of mankind and to protect harm from reaching them. Whatever I'm going to talk about here today, any legislation, any concept that does not take into cognizance welfare of mankind, how to prevent them from being harmed, and not thinking of how to get benefits to them, whether they have the capacity to create that benefit or they don't have, it is not a kind of concept that should be welcomed by any human being. That is why if you go crystally into democracy and all other kind of concepts they are using today, you will see that it is the majority takes all. Whether you are existing or you are not existing is none of their business. As long as capitalists who have money can make you and get everything from you, it's none of their business whether you are surviving. But that is not the case with Islam. Islam takes into cognizance the minutest concern of every mankind. The minutest concern. That's why you have the Makasib Sharia. That is why you go to Adiyya or Tasiriyat. Tasiriyat concept is even to the simplest of what to be a concern of Muslims or mankind. Islam has taken care of them. Now, concept of Sharia, as I said, is a complete way of life. It takes care of the matter of worship, social and family relations, economic and commercial transactions, criminal justice, which is governance and public administration. And you can look at all these put together, you will see that nothing has been left uncatered. Man for Ratna with Italy and Czech. And I said he has not left anything untouched about mankind in the concept of Sharia. Now, let's move quickly to the primary objective of Sharia. The primary objective of Sharia is the realization of benefits to the people concerning their general affairs in this world and there. What is Islam is concerned about, or Islamic law concerns itself about, it's how to get benefit to you. And to make sure it takes away, protect you from harm. That is the essence of Islam. And you will see some legislations in the conventional legal systems that even invoke harm directly. That is not the position of Islam. The position of Islam is the main objective of Islam is to take away harm from you and give you realization of benefit. Now, the fundamental aspect to measure any provision of Sharia is the fact that it must show that the sole aim of whatever provision it is to secure benefits for the people and protecting them against corruption and evil. And this sense be not but as a mercy for all mankind. Anything that does not bring rahmah, it is not of Sharia. Anything that imposes harm on people is not of Sharia. Any practice you see today, and people are ascribing to Sharia that ultimately brings harm to you, then it's not part of Sharia. It's not part of Sharia. Now you can see we have so many what do you call it, positions of scholars that can be not permit me to be able to explain it. But in essence, think of anything that is the general principle that does not bring benefits to mankind, it is not Sharia. Anything that imposes harm on mankind is not of Sharia. Are we together? Yeah. Let's move quickly to the sources of Islamic law. Because I don't how many minutes I have. Okay. Now, the source of Islamic law. We all know the primary sources of Islamic law is the Quran and Sunnah. In fact, the main source of Islamic law is Quran. Every other sources derive their acceptability and legitimacy from the Quran. And this of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whether what he said directly, whether what he gave practical purpose to derive their legitimacy also from the Quran. Because Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ma yatiqu anil hawa in huwa illa wahyun yuha. Rasul did not say anything of his own except what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded him to say. Now, apart from provisions of Quran, every other pronouncement of Rasul, whether what he said directly, all the actions, all his communication, body communication, and every other thing forms part of Sharia, a part of sources of Sharia. Now, although the Quran is not a law code in the modern sense that the contemporary Islamic book, it contains numerous verses with legal implication. Now, out of the scholars have estimated that approximately 500 verses of the Quran have direct legal relevance. About 500 verses have direct legal relevance, where the pronouncement of Allah in bed created legal obligations on mankind. Quranic emphasis on justice and welfare, I talked about that. Maybe I just talked about it briefly. He's talking about adlu, and he's talking about maslaha. Adlu is justice, and maslaha is public welfare. If it is not of Sharia, it's not make provision or something like that. Now, relationship between Quran and Sunnah. According to Az-Zuhaili, Wahba Mustafa Az-Zuhaili, the author article describing what Adidatu, the Sunnah performs three essential functions. Three essential functions of Sunnah: it clarifies Quran, specify general rules, provide independent legislation when Quran decided, and also command explains what Quran talks about. We have authority of Sunnah here, and we also talk about Ijma as a source of consensus of scholars. I think you know what is consensus of scholars. Some are explicit, and the basis for authority is the assist of Rasulullah saying, "My committee will never agree upon a crime." Each man can be explicit. Each man that can explicit recorded in scholarly work that what happened Malik. These matters of which Medina scholars were unanimous. And Umar by Imam Shafi, those are Ijma that are explicit. Some are derived from the practice of the community. Juristic significance of Ijma. Imam Shafi postulated that Ijma prevents fragmentation of the legal system and protects the community from erroneous interpretation. So that each person will not sit down and be talking about the position of Islam or the position of law. That's why we have Ijma, bringing scholars together and joining to view and discuss on a particular concept and to give position which is fatwa on them. Wherever they put together like that in the community and then decide on a masala and arrive on the point of that masala, it becomes Ijma, which will become binding on that community. The mistake we do on Ijma is that the Ijma that we agreed to in Abuja may not be binding on people who are in the jail. People think it is binding on people in Abuja. Because circumstances for arriving at those decisions of fatwas may not be the same. What they are facing in Saudi to say we should not do this may not be the same in Nigeria. There is no provision of separate buses for transportation for men in Nigeria. No separate ones for women. You cannot say we cannot sit together in the place and say you have passed a fatwa that will prohibit that. You ask you to go back and check your party. One of our shuyukh was in Lagos during the standard they allowed the place with him. And he had a visitor, Arabian visitor that came to visit him. And they were trying to go to his madrasa together. They were inside the same car. Driver is sitting in the front driving them. The visitor was sitting behind the chair and the back seat. And they came out of his house, they started seeing ladies with breast and everything outside. The man started opening his face like this, saying, I want to be like, say, I want to be like. And the boy, the chair told me, this I want to be like, I'm thinking where you are coming from. Yeah, we see it every day, and Allah knows our intention and will prevent us. He will not punish us for that. Because the way you are covering your face and saying, I want to be like, if our driver should cover his face, where will we find ourselves? You see, those decisions depend on the environment and what is prevalent in a particular place. I also have the act, and I know to be doctor. I would like to go for that. I know Allah has blessed us, part of us, almost all of us with knowledge of all these things. I will paper is there, and I'll give you the source copy. You can avail us with the source copy later. Inshallah, we also have secondary sources of Islamic law. Okay, other secondary sources, we have Istihsan, we have Istisna, we have both, and we also have Zara. Zara is, we are going to discuss it. Istisna, juristic preference, not public interest. Law will consider what is publicly, and that will be of public interest or public benefit to people, and they will decide on it, and their decision will become what we call it, source of law. We have Urfu, which considers the custom of an area. If the custom permits something, even if Islam does not bring it along with it, even during the Jahiliyyah period, part of the practice in the Jahiliyyah period of commercial transaction is salary. When Islam came in, he looks at all the conditions surrounding salam and says, yes, I will put salam, people can contribute to salam. And salam becomes part of our commercial transaction model today. Yet, so if we practice the condition of an area, like this idea of going when we are going for marriage, to say we are going to go with things for marriage, to carry yam, to carry kolanut, to carry all this. As long as they are not using the kolanut to judge your head, and asking you to cut it and they cut small for the wife and say you are taking covenant. As long as part of the tradition of the area to go with things like that, no. Islam recognizes it and it's not going to affect your marriage, not going to affect your age. Now, another source of Islamic law which is secondary is the blocking the means to harm, which is Sado Garaya. Now, that one is telling you that that if it is not prevented, cause a greater harm or will lead people to haram or to commit crime, to the commission of a crime. Though it is permissible in Islam, Islam says, Sharia says we can make it not permissible so that we will prevent people from committing crime. Am I making sense?
For example,
Yes. Now, for example, let me see, for example, it is not allowed in Islam to pray for your dead ones. It is not allowed in Islam to pray for your dead ones. But when you are praying for your dead ones, it now lead you to turn it into a party. Or to say we are turning the side of our dead father. And you are now putting posters. And you are now killing cows, killing ram, inviting musicians to come and play, and drinking alcohol here, and calling advice in the morning to pray to Islamic. You call advice in the morning to come and recite some sections of the Quran for the late ones, as they were reciting, before if they didn't don't stand up on time. The musician will start beating drum, asking them, giving them signs like we don't go, we'll start our things. Something like that. If you now say people should stop organizing prayers for the dead, they are praying for your dead wherever you are. But praying for them and sitting down together may not be haram. But it will lead to something haram that will not cause trouble at the end of the day. Islam says, turn those things, pronounce them non-permissible, so that it will not lead us to bigger haram. Now, we move quickly to the next segment of our discussion, which is Sharia we are talking about. What is the main thing Sharia has set out to achieve? What is the main objective of Sharia? You know, we have said earlier that the main objective is to do what? To promote welfare, something that will be of benefit to us as mankind, and to do what? And to prevent something that will impose or invoke harm on us. That is the major objective of Sharia. And how does Sharia intend to do this? That is what we call objectives of Islamic law. This objective of Islamic law is what we call Maqasidu Sharia. Maqasidu Sharia, as objective of Islamic law, represents one of the most important intellectual development in Islamic jurisprudence. Rather than approach Sharia as a rigid body of rules, the Maqasidu framework presents Islamic law as a purpose-driven system aimed at securing human welfare and preventing harm. You know, the general understanding of people when they hear Sharia, what strike their brain is, this one I will be cutting people's hand. This one I will be stoning people to death. That is not objective of Sharia. It will interest you to note that even during the life of Rasulullah, what is the percentage of people who witness that kind of nature of punishment during the time of Islam? What is the percentage? And you look at the percentage of people that benefited from Maqasidu Sharia framework of Islamic law. Critical examination of the provision revealed in the Quran and Sunnah, forming the basis of legislation, will do that. They are revealed with the main objective of providing benefit and preventing crime. Yadwal Mansara, Masade, Wadabul Mabasa. That's the reason. Now, all benefits for mankind and Allah do not gain and does not need to gain anything from this injunction. I'm trying to say here that all the benefits are for mankind. Allah is not standing to gain anything from it. We are the one that will gain either between man to man or the kind of vision, or between man to man, man and other creations of Allah, or between man and even our environment. Those are the ones that will benefit from it. Now, they now structure a systematized theory of Maqasid Sharia. The systematization started during the time of Al-Ghazali and others. But one of our scholars, they are now systematizing theory in the seminar work is Sheikh Imam Abu Ishaq al-Shatibi. In his work, Muwafaqat fi Usul Sharia, he was one that now put the framework together and now gave us what we know as three most important categories of Maqasid. These three most important categories of Maqasid, they are the Daruriyya, and we have the Hadiyya, and we have the Tasiliyya. Now, these Daruriyya are the essentials. Looking at mankind, what do you think they are essential to the existence of mankind? What do you think that without them, man is no longer a man? Without those things, what are those things that if you take them out of the life of a human being, that person is no longer a human being? And those things are the things they have systematically put together to form Maqasidu al-Sharia. Because we are talking of what to bring benefit and to promote public welfare of human beings. Islam has come to make those things as their main objective of Sharia. If main objective of Sharia is all about cutting people's hand and stoning people to death, we will not have a concept of Maqasid Sharia, which is a concept that has come with identifying major essentials needs of mankind. And those that are not so essential, they have brought them to another category of benefits to mankind. In fact, those that are even less important, those ones also, that form the third category is Tasiliyat. Other Tasiliyat, they are taking care of every need of man. Which means if you talk today and somebody telling you that Sharia is not complete, completeness is part of the characteristics of Sharia. Comprehensiveness is part of the characteristics of Sharia, which we are going to discuss today. Flexibility to pick up circumstances, places, and time is part of characteristics of Sharia. Now, under Maqasid Sharia, we will be looking at protection of humanity. As a man, if you are living in a place where your religion is protected, you are less a man. If today, as we are sitting here, some people go together and say, what nonsense are you here? You are living in Salah Kassim. Come on, Quran. And we want to pray today, they say we must not do Adhan. And we are praying for us to perform our Muslim. But the latter for us to pray. When you are living in a place where your religion is not protected, you are less a man. That is the concept of Maqasid Sharia. Now, if you are living in a place where your life is not guaranteed, the safety of your life is not guaranteed, then you are less human being. The way we are living in Nigeria, we are living as less human beings, as Muslims. You can see what people faced about 2 days ago. Somebody stood up in his house, moved to the mosque, performed ablution to pray Maghrib. And the next thing he hears is, so those people that had that thing, they are the ones who don't see this now. Those people that are dead, they did not hear the book. Because the kind of sound that will give you, you will not hear it. Because that book sound of your body. They are dead today. No protection for their lives. It makes you a less human being when there is no protection of the life. Which Islam is talking under Makassimi's idea that for you to become a complete human being, your life must be protected. If Islam is not taking care of welfare of human being, why will we go to that extent to say, as part of the main objective of our existence, whether the state or whoever is the leader of the community must protect the life of people living in that community? Nigeria, under our Constitution, chapter 3, we tell you something objective and major policy, and major state policy. Those things are there in our Constitution, and nobody is taking them seriously. Education for the people is education guarantee. So for the people is the guarantee. All those major objectives that they put under our Constitution are not guaranteed. But in Islam, Makassimi's Sharia is the major objective, yardstick to measure whether a state is performing or not. And it is the major yardstick for you as human being to measure whether your essentials, elements, interests are being taken care of. If they are not being taken care of, you are less human. If you don't take those things seriously as a human being, you are less human being. You pray Allah must not take your life in a state where you don't care about your king, in a state where you don't care about your own life. You pray Allah does not give you that capacity. Another one is protection of intelligence. Our act, our risk, our intelligence. Islam as a religion, Sharia as a law, as a legal system, takes seriously the intellect of human beings. The day drugs, addiction to drugs and other things becomes very often, you will not find that wherever you are. If you are living in an environment where drug addicts are 98% of people living here, please leave the place because your life is not that. Islam says it's part of the responsibility, objective that Sharia Islamic law called to as well to take care of is to protect your internet. Now, what else is protection of dignity of image and dignity and your what image? Islam doesn't take your image like my brother was talking to me on phone. He said, President, I will be expecting you. My name is Mohammed Apostle. As he said, Mohammed Apostle, my mind ran through all the people I know that are very Apostle. That is yes. That name was protected. That name was protected. That image was protected. Immediate protection goes to the point of where you are going to put your semen, you must know it. You must not just see somebody on the road and have intercourse with that person. And the person get pregnant. Whether you collect or you don't collect. Tomorrow, that person can be the one that will marry your son again tomorrow. And you disturb and distort it. These are part of responsibility, objective of sharing. Now, protection of property. Islam wants us to acquire property the way we want. At the same time, protect our property. The protection goes to the extent of theft, preventing you from being attacked by armed robbers, protecting you from being attacked by fraudsters, 419, taking away your property. These are part of the objective of the area, which I discussed them in details. Okay, I've discussed that one in details. That time will not permit me to look at them. All those I itemized now, we have discussed them in details from pages 9 to about 16 of my book. We have discussed them in details here. Now, the Adiyah as a category of objective of Sharia is they are supplementary. They are provisions that are supplementary to the Magazine Sharia. They are not concepts that are so essential for the existence of man. But at the same time, they bring support. Making provisions for them bring support, bring respite for mankind and for Muslims. Islam is very long. For example, reducing your society when you are traveling. Islam, after protecting your religion and the same must be allowed to practice your religion. Also says in case you have conditions that will make full compliance or full observance of observance of that salah difficult for you, because the area was not going to impose as they has created the Hadith as a concept to say, take care of his presence, take care of his action, reduce the solar. When you are fasting and you are enjoying, reduce the top fasting. If you cannot pray standing, pray resting or something. You cannot pray resting, pray sitting down. You are not pray sitting down, pray like that. These are why the Prophet was saying that to tell you that anything that will go back on us as it is not part of the it's not the kind of job. Now, quickly, the same last year. Last year, too, are talking of other states that is away from Nigeria that will also assist us in living a very comfortable life. The provision that is made by the staff. While not essential for survival, Nigeria support the highest purpose of Nigeria by fostering ethical society and avoiding extravagant and dangerous that are designed in the regulation of law. First, people become. Facilitate and prevent the state no life. People go to God to God. Don't give fake testimony. These are other tasks we have. If you look at it on a larger scale, by the time somebody is allowed to give false claim, it will encourage claiming what does not belong to you. It will encourage stealing because they are so minute that you look at it as something small. Instead of saying, I will not allow you to do it. That is the provision of Tanzania to say, go away from it. These will act to look minute. It will ultimately bring harm to mankind and to humanity. Yeah, let's now look quickly at nature and parasites of Islamic. Sorry, that Karoshi business. The area that will make the organizers who allow me to stress on will be when we are talking of challenges and what will be things to be the way forward for the implementation of Sharia. Those areas I will make to allow me to go over it a bit, even if you are not reading out what you are prepared. I want us to listen to very well. Nature and characteristics of Sharia. Number one, divine origin. Rabbaniya. Sharia has divinity in it. Divine origin of Islam, of Islamic law, is what we all know. It's coming from who? The giver of laws. The creator himself. Who knows us more than ourselves? Yes. Part of the characteristics of Sharia is that it is divinely revealed. It is not like all these other laws that somebody will see that somewhere, and because the thing is not going this way today, you say let us review. If the same thing they review at National Assembly today is imposing trouble for them tomorrow, even after 6 months, you say, it's affecting us now. Let us consider it. We will consider it. All of them are making noise about electronic transmission of results now. By the time in 2027, they transmit result electronically. And they discover that the person that they are looking at that will lose election does not lose election, even with electronic transmission. You see that they go for the and start thinking of something. You see, if they are looking at taxation law now, and they look at it and say, from which we can make more money, and they see that those that they are not considered as those that pay tax are the majority now, they will go back and review the law to say, let us include them in our tax, so that we can carry those tax rates. You see, That is the problem of man-made law, of kufru law. But our own law are made divinely and by the person who knows best, who cannot make mistake, who is in volume, who has considered the beginning and the end of the world, who has considered those that will be living inside the world, what will be their capacity, what will be the extent of their powers, what will be their limits. He has considered everything in giving laws, divine origin of our God. Because it is divine, that is why Islamic law is free from discrepancies and shortcomings. If you have shortcomings in your understanding of any provision of Islamic law, the shortcoming must have been to the level of your understanding or the knowledge of that law. It will be the shortcoming of your level of understanding of Islamic principles, not the level of that operation of that principle. No. There is no discrepancy. The Islamic law will not say A is wrong and the C is true. No. What we are not even seeing now, Islamic law has made provisions for it. We are not continuing to play the souls of all our enemies. Those classical units and modern day contemporary units. As we are sitting down, they are not resting. What will not come reality in another 2,000 years? Islamic units are providing solutions for it. And the solutions are not man-made, and they are not sentimental. They are making provisions for it with their understanding of Quran and Sunnah and other sources of study. That's why nothing will make them unprepared. That's why nothing will make them unexpected. And that's why nothing will make Islamic law unprepared. Because they have done the work thousands of years ago. I'm saying that because Islamic law is as divine origin, it's free from any discrepancies and shortcomings. Now, because it is divine, it respects, it attracts respect and honor in obedience. Because of our understanding as Muslims that our law is divine, it tends to give us the kind of support and the kind of acceptability and honor that we are going to give the law. You will see that most of the laws that they promulgate, man-made law, immediately they are promulgating it. People are starting to think that it is not for their benefit. Because they think it is not for their benefit, they think it is not good for them to obey it. Let's look at the one that is reading now, which is tax order, taxation and taxation. Because the day they have started preparing the law, the Nigerians are seeing it as something that is antagonistic to their interest and to their welfare. We have started thinking of how to circumvent that. Even before it was time, the Nigerians have started thinking of how not to obey it. Even those that are even expected to be the one that will obey it, those that promulgated the law on our behalf, as they say, you will discover that they are the one that will invade that task law. Because it has been in their mind that they are not going to obey it. But with the conviction and understanding that our law is divine from our God, it is the expectation of us. And the obligation imposed on us as Muslims, we tend to respect and to honor those laws in our obedience, despite the understanding of Islamic law. Now, quickly move to comprehensive. Think of anything that I've said. Sharia is taken care of. Very comprehensive. Islamic law covers every facet of life: worship, family matters, finance, criminal justice, governance, ethics, and even personal habits. It does not separate individuals from secular. Instead, it covers guidance and solutions for the individual, community, and the state, ensuring that all actions are aligned with the same divine framework. This all-encompassing scope aims to integrate moral intent with practical conduct, giving us care of our existence of thought and hope provided by the Sharia rules and detectives. That is the essence of that is part of the characteristic beauty. That if they are asking you for the beauty of the world, the goal that's supposed to tell them that after there is no other. After Islamic law system, there is no other leadership. All these ones that we are practicing with them is because we are going to work with our option. If you have option today, we will not. And when you have option, we are going to explain it to ourselves later. The universality, realistic, and contemporary nature of Sharia gives it a beauty. Now, it is universal, realistic, and contemporary. We worship as a land of all Muslims, we worship in the fundamental pillar and understanding to an average mind. All these activities of Sharia that is going to be explained, you don't need too much of discussion before you understand. Because it is part of the natural guidance Allah has given us as humanity. We are actually from Allah has given us what we call the diet of India, which is natural guidance that will make you to know what is right. You don't need to go to school that's sleeping with another man's wife. You don't need to go to school. You don't need to have plenty money to know their brother Said that put his phone on the table there. You should not take it and take it to go and sell it off. You don't need any other knowledge to know that my back outside. It's not use another thing to open it and open it. For Islam now making provisions for you, it's no provision or permissible act that Islam has made provision for in Islam in Nigeria that you say somebody not participate in that or that's not participating in. That is the universality of Islam. That is the universality of Islam. What is participle there is not participle here in their own places. They say they are not man to man themselves. In Nigeria is not participle. If you are doing this, you are doing it for Ramadan, you are not allowed to do this. What's it is? Get to them, they will not take it, they will give on their own. Are you getting it? That is part of the universality of Islam. Now, flexibility. Those laws that are written in Islam are written, they are unchangeable. But in the areas of custom and for other practices are flexible in Islam. Islam makes it flexible, and Sharia also makes it flexible. I have read much on them there. Time may not permit, because I talked about those unchangeable injunctions of Quran that are fixed, that are not changeable. The injunction that has to do with our belief as Muslims. Wherever you go, you know it's not changeable. It has to do with your Bible. How to pray, how to do this. You cannot use any Quran interpretation to change it. The injunction related to ethics, related to akhlaq, what are permissible and what are not permissible, you cannot change them. Those that are changeable are the ones talking about custom and other things. That's why that's the place where I have to give an example of Salah and talk about. Now, part of the characteristics of Islamic law, is justice and mercy. Anything that imposes injustice is not part of the characteristics of Islam. Anything that does not show a decision and an action to mankind, whether man to man, man to other creations of Allah, man to environment, that does not show mercy is not part of Islam, and it's not part of Islam. Spiritual and moral foundation of Islam. That's the characteristic of Islam. Anything that does not take into cognizance spirituality and does not take morality as part of his glowing nature then it's not Sharia. Islamic law is fundamentally tied to faith. Faith forms the foundation of which the entire practice in Islamic law rests on. That is why, except in some exceptional circumstances, the law regulates believers in Islamic faith. Unlike secular system, which rely on human-made statute and regulation, Islamic law derives its authority and relies on the divine already gives the law a moral dimension. Every rule is an obligation, and every judgment is an accountability before. That is the spirituality in Islamic law. Individuals are under the line and answerable to a higher power and authority. Therefore, legal decisions are judged in hereafter as well as in this law. This law aims to protect social justice and mercy, and not just to maintain social law. The Islamic law intertwines legal obligations with spiritual duty, making the law a pathway to righteousness rather than a purely secular contract as in other conventional laws. That is the position of Islam. And part of the characteristics of Islam also is the reward and punishment in Sharia and in this world and in the hereafter. Even if you escape punishment here, as Muslims, you know you are not going to escape it. That is one of the beauties or characteristics of Islamic law. In 2006, we were in the Supreme Court. And the case came up. You know the practice in our court system is when you have judgment, when the court is to read judgment, even if he has 30 cases on his case for that, he will read judgment first. I think they are fashioned in such a way that that way, so that even if it is not your case that is going to benefit from judgment is relevant. If you don't benefit from how to do it, you benefit from how not to do it. They usually lead judgment first. You are now looking for judgment to Supreme Court. And that judgment eventually is a criminal issue. And the man was brought to court from Brazil. The case came up from High Court, Court of Appeal, and to the Supreme Court. The man fought with the Supreme Court and the court refused to discharge the acquitted by the Supreme Court. God discharged and acquitted because that is what the court meant to happen. There was a breakage in the movement of that action. That eventually called the person that was killed. That person was killed. But they were following the sequence of action that connected them. And were tracing it to that person to a point. There was a breakage in justice. The High Court convicted, the Court of Appeal convicted. When it got to the Supreme Court said, our law has said that where there is a gap created in the Constitution, that has to be counted in favor of the accused. Because it is rather good to allow 10 accused persons to go to law that convict 1%. That's our common law. That's our common law. We now this guy that has territory. I carry the offering. No one might know the sins of Colombia. Former offering after the video, after the study and the now all is going. He said, counsel, offering God. But he said, I had that life and direct. He said, you have used the humanity of God to secure the release of their resources. I don't know if you're talking about it. I said, what of them? You cannot break the state like anything. I am 14. And the way I demonstrated now, that was the way I know not to demonstrate. Said you have secured this media. Now first said, and I said, what of them? That's the beauty of prayer. Part of Transite for Sharia has made us know that if we escape here, we will not escape here. There is benefit here, and there is punishment here. There is reward here, there is reward here. If you are not rewarded for a good attitude, you are not discouraged from Islam. Now we reward you. If you are not punished here for what you have done, don't now be happy and continue to do it because you are smart. Some people are smart so much that no matter the investigation, they are not going to do it. I participated in the case that was having fear. At the point, the man they are accused is dead, for example, at the point. I have not done anything, but even if you have done it, you will not get it. Or if they cannot get it there, you will be seized for this. The beauty of Islamic law is that other conventional laws, we have escaped. Most of that, let me say, all other banking laws. Now, let's go quickly. Implementation of Islamic law. Now, we are writing those questions. Now, 17 to 26. Inshallah. Now, we take us quickly. Now, inshallah, implementation of Islamic law. From the entirety of our discussion, because there is nobody that will simply like this, and they will not be eager in being part of those that will prevent it. But as Muslims, you don't have the power over that. You don't have the power over that. Who knows whether we are going to meet in Islamic law will be installed or implemented? People, if